Good morning, 5th grade. I'm coming to you with a language lesson today. I know that you finished up yesterday with the dictionary stuff, and that's great. And now we're going to move on to something called compliments. Now, when you think about a compliment, sometimes you think of someone saying like, hey, I like your shirt, or hey, those are nice shoes, but that's not the kind of compliment we're talking about. I actually believe that this was one of your spelling words a couple weeks ago. This type of compliment is a completer or a perfecter, and it kind of completes your sentence. A compliment is a sentence completer. So let's talk about that definition of a compliment a little bit more. Compliments are sentence completers. They complete the meaning begun by the subject and verb. Sometimes you think, well, I have a subject and I have a verb, so I have a sentence, but that's not always the case. So let's look at a couple examples of how to use a compliment. Let's look at this first sentence right here. Tyrell and George studied. Okay, so we have actually a compound subject. We have a verb. Okay, so nothing really needs to be added. Something could be added, but I think we have a complete sentence here that doesn't necessarily need a complement. Now let's look at this one. The student found. Okay, we have a subject, we have a verb, student, found, but found what? It's kind of missing something, right? Let's look at this last example here. The student found his book. Ah, there we go. Now it makes sense. He found his book. It's sort of answering the question, like, what did he find? He found his book. So book would be the complement in this sentence. Now you may be thinking, well, how do I find a complement? Let's talk about that a little bit. One way to find a complement is to say the verb, then ask what or whom, and that will help you when finding a direct object, and we'll talk about that in just a couple minutes. You can look for a noun, pronoun, or adjective that's after the verb. Your complement will always be after your verb, but it will never be found in a prepositional phrase. So if it helps you when you're looking for compliments, you may want to try to find that prepositional phrase first, just so you know it's not there. That's not where the complement is. One type of complement we're going to talk about today is a direct object. And a direct object is a complement that always follows an action verb. There's a type of complement that also follows a helping verb, but that's not the one we're talking about. We're talking about one that follows an action verb, and that's called a direct object. So how do we spot a direct object? A direct object is a noun or pronoun that follows action or the action verb and receives the action from that verb. It answers the questions what or whom, and that should sound very familiar because I just referenced that a couple minutes ago. Let's look at these examples. Tyler found his dog. Okay, so we have a subject and a verb, and that verb right there, that is an action verb. That is showing that they're doing something. Not that Tyler's existing like Tyler is, but Tyler found he's doing something. And so let's ask what or whom with that verb. Found what? He found his dog. So dog is a complement, but it's not just a complement, it's a direct object. Let's look down here. I called my aunt in Kansas last night. I called. Again, called is an action verb. Called whom? My aunt. So aunt would be your direct object. Okay, so that's just a short little summary of how to find complements, and your first complement is a direct object that comes after action verbs. I hope you enjoyed this video, and there'll be more language videos to come. Bye, guys.